Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, and in this particular video we are going to discuss some beautiful concept regarding our ABAP programming. ABAP is the technical module in our SAP and it is the most important module in whole SAP, and if you want to be a technical consultant then ABAP is mandatory for us, for every one of us. So we must learn how we can code in our ABAP programming and then we can become a technical consultant. So in this part we are going to discuss what is ABAP programming and how we are going to write our code in our ABAP programming. So ABAP stands for Advanced Business Application Programming, and ABAP is the programming language of SAP, and the runtime environment needed to run a ABAP program is provided by the application layer. So if you are a fan of SAP or if you follow SAP, you already know that in SAP we have a R3 architecture. In R3 architecture there is a presentation layer, then we have the application layer, and at last we have the database layer. So application layer is the layer which is going to provide the runtime environment. Now what is the meaning of this runtime environment? So for any programming language, it doesn't matter which is ABAP or some other language, so it always requires a runtime environment to execute your program. So in case of SAP, the runtime environment which is needed to execute our ABAP program, it is provided by your application layer, and you can directly execute your ABAP program over the application layer in the ABAP editor. So where we are going to write our ABAP code. So ABAP editor is the tool in which we are going to write our ABAP code, and it is one of the most important tool of ABAP workbench. ABAP workbench. Now what is the meaning of this ABAP workbench? So ABAP workbench is the collection of ABAP tools like ABAP dictionary. SE11 is the transaction code for your ABAP dictionary, where you are going to write all your database object like tables, views. You can maintain them, manipulate them, and you can perform all the operation that you want. Then we have this ABAP editor. ABAP editor is also a tool of our ABAP workbench. SE38 is the transaction code of our ABAP editor, where we can write our ABAP program. So whenever we are going to write any ABAP program, what we will be doing basically is we will be going to SE38 transaction code and we will write our program, and then we are going to execute it, and accordingly we are going to get the output. We also have a function builder SE37 transaction code. Then we have this class builder SE24 transaction code. Accordingly we have got a lot of transaction code, a lot of tools in our ABAP workbench which we can use accordingly. Now the transaction code of ABAP editor is SE38. You already know that transaction code is nothing but a short alphanumeric string using which we can go to various ABAP tools which are the nothing but the part of our ABAP workbench only. So if you will go to SE38 transaction code here, simply go to SE38 transaction code, and you can see this is the transaction code of our ABAP editor, where we can write any program that we want. Of our ABAP program, we will be writing all the programs and we can perform all the sections. So let's start with the naming convention, and you guys already know that in case of our SAP, whenever we are going to create any object, the naming convention always start with Z or Y. So I will start with Z, and I will give the name of my program as first ABAP program, first ABAP underscore program, uh, 01. It is already there, so let's make it 03 and click on create button. So I will give a title as first ABAP program. This will be the title of our program, so I am going to give it as first ABAP program. Now in the type, simply select executable program and click on save button. Simply click on this save button. Here you are going to get a pop-up, so simply you will have to assign your package, and then you will be assigning the transport request on which you want to store your program. So I will assign the transport request. Now how we are going to create any program? So let's take a requirement to create a program for sum of two numbers. So first program, this is going to be our first program which we are going to write, and we will see how we can write our ABAP program. So how we can write it? So before directly going to the writing part of the program, we need to understand some basic concept which I am going to discuss, and those concepts are some of the important points. What you are going to see in your ABAP program here is, the first thing is report, and then you have the name of your program. This is the first thing, and the next you can see here, this is the name of your program followed by the full stop sign. So in your SAP, everything, every code that you are going to see is nothing but a statement. You can clearly see here, this is nothing but a statement. And what is the meaning of a statement? A statement consists of some words and followed by period. So this is the period sign, or you can see a full stop sign. So this is nothing but a statement. And the first thing you are going to see is report, which is in blue color. So everything in your SAP which is a keyword, it will always be in blue color, and rest of the things will always be there in black color only. So for writing your program, what you can do is, you will be taking input. You will be taking input from the users. So how we are going to take input from the user here is, we will be using parameters. We will be using parameters to take input from the user. So I am going to take two input from the user. So I will give a comment first. So for comment, we will always start with the asterisk sign, star sign, and you can give any comment that you want. So taking input from the user, I am going to give this comment here as taking input from the user. So this is the comment which I am giving here. Now I will write parameters. So p underscore r1 type integer. Then I will take another input. So again parameters, p underscore r2 type integer. So these are the two inputs that I have taken. Now I will click on activate button, and I will click on execute button. So you can see here PR1 and PR2 are the two options that I am getting, but my end users will not be able to understand what is this PR1. As a technical consultant, I can understand that this is going to be my first number and this is going to be my second number, but my end user is not going to understand. So we are required to give a meaningful name for this PR1 and PR2. So for that purpose, what we can do is, we will go to this go to and this text element, and in this selection text you can give the name of your variable that you want. So I will simply pass the name as first input or first number, and I will give the name of the second as second number. Now I will click on activate button. So my input part is ready. First thing is ready here, input part is ready. Now guys, simply focus on it. For any part of the any program, there are three important parts of the program. First one is taking input. So input part, then the second part for any program is processing logic. Processing logic, what you are going to perform with this input. So with this input, we will be required a output variable. So I will simply create a output variable lv underscore output. So data is the keyword which is mainly used to create any variable in your ABAP program. So I am using this data keyword to create our lv output variable, and I will again give the data type as integer. So I will simply pass this data type at integer. Now I will give the processing logic. So lv underscore output is equal to p underscore r1 plus p underscore r2. These are the processing logic. This is basically the processing logic that I am going to use to store my output in this lv output variable. Now my processing part is done. The next thing that we are going to pass here will be your output part. So I will simply go for the output part. Now how we are going to display the output? So for that purpose, what we are going to do, we will be using the write statement. So I will simply use this write statement to show the output, lv output, and I will click on activate button. And click on execute. Simply take any input. So I am giving 20 and 10. Now I will click on execute button. So you can clearly see my output is 30. So I am now able to get my output which is 30. So sum of two numbers is okay. Now if I want to go for subtraction of two numbers, so I will simply pass here minus sign and I will click on activate button and I will click on execute button here. Again I will give some input 20, 10. Now I will click on execute button. So you can clearly see here is 20 minus 10 is equal to 10 and I am getting the output as 10. If you want to go for the multiplication part, so I will use this star sign, I will activate my program and I will click on execute button. Now I will take some input here, so I will simply pass 20 and 10. I will click on execute button and you can see we are getting output here as 200. So I am getting the output now. If you want to go for divide part, I will use this divide operator. I will click on activate button and I will click on execute button. I will pass here the first number as 20, the second number here as 10 and I will click on execute button and you can see here I am getting the output as 2. So my thing is ready here now. I am able to get all those outputs that I want. I am able to perform all the calculator related operations. Also there is an important button here, you can see is display object list, and if you will click on this button, what you will be able to see, you will navigate to ACAT transaction code. ACAT is basically nothing but the object navigator transaction code. You can navigate to any object from this ACAT transaction code. In the program section you will have to pass, simply go to ACAT, you will be able to test it there directly. You don't need to navigate from your program, simply go to ACAT, just wait for a second here, use the program name and press enter. Simply click on this program and you can see here in the right side of your program you are getting your entire program, entire logic that you have written in your program. So ACAT is really important for us, and simply click on now back button and click on change. So I am clearly able to write my first ABAP program. So what is ABAP? ABAP is the fourth generation programming language which lies on our application layer, which application layer is the second layer of our R3 architecture where ABAP our lies, and all our screen, whatever the screen that you are going to see in your GUI, everything is written in your ABAP program. For any screen, if you want to go to AC37 transaction code, simply go to AC37 transaction code, click on system, click on status, and you will be able to see your program that lies on your application layer. Here you can see your detail. This you can see here backend program, double click on it and you will be able to see the backend program for that particular transaction code. So every screen of your ABAP application layer, every screen of your GUI is written in ABAP only. So thank you very much for watching the video, and don't forget to like and share this video. Thank you very much.